This is our last class of compounds that we'll be discussing, and that is the amide. You'll notice that it is not on your chart, and what that tells you is that it is not on your exam. I just want to show it to you so you have an idea how it works. We will be seeing this functional group in Unit 5, so I wanted to at least expose you to it now so that you'll be comfortable when we talk about it in Unit 5. So, the functional group amide is composed of a carbon with a double bond to an oxygen and a nitrogen. So this one has both oxygen and nitrogen. It's the only one that does that we work with. And we'll just work on some naming. We're not going to do anything else with it at the moment. We're just going to name it. Again, you do not need to know how to do this for the exam. Because this is an amide, the end of the name will be amide, as you see here. In front of that, we're going to put AN to stand for all single bonds. And then in front of that, we want to say how many carbons are in the carbon chain, the main chain being the one that has the carbon double bond O. So that one has one carbon in this case, and we have methanamide. For number 2, we see we have our amide group. Let's point an arrow that goes between the oxygen and the nitrogen at the carbon that is connected to both of those so that we can identify the main chain. And our ending of our name will be amide because we have an amide group. AN in front of that to say that it is all single bonded. And then we put in the number of carbons on the main chain. We see 2. This is an ethanamide. Notice that on compound 3, we have an attachment that is on the nitrogen. So that's what I wanted to kind of show you that was different about the amides and how to name them. When we attach something to a nitrogen, we have to do a little bit different naming. So we're going to follow our pathway of naming. We'll start at the end. We're going to see our functional group is C double bond ON. Our ending will be amide. In front of that, we will have an AN to say everything else is single bonded. And then in front of that, we'll say how many carbons are in the main chain. Notice that when I found my amide, I pointed at the carbon of the carbonyl carbon so that I could easily spot the main chain. So this is an ethanamide. Then we look at the branch that we see on here. It is a methyl group, so we're going to put methyl ethanamide. And then we want to say, well, what carbon is it on? In this case, it is not on a carbon, so we just put N to say that it is on the nitrogen. And we get N-methyl ethanamide. And for compound 4, we see the same thing. We start by finding our amide. We're going to end with our name being amide. In front of that will be AN to indicate that we have all single bonds. The main chain, as pointed to by this arrow, tells us that there are 3 carbons in the main chain, so that is propanamide. Then we have 2 attachments that are both on the nitrogen. They're each 1 carbon long, so they're methyls. We get a dimethyl. And because they're both on the nitrogen, we're going to have N, dash dimethyl propanamide. Notice that the N is sort of like a number, but it's not a carbon number, so we're putting in N instead. Again, you do not need to know how to do these amides. And that's it for amides.